once they're like deactivated, but Bandit can trick through EMPs. So this might be one of those situations where when I get the walls opened up if you're Space Station, but they start first on the defensive side. Of course, they've also banned the Maverick, so that is off the table as well. Maverick, as you mentioned earlier, Parker, no longer has frag grenades. He now has flashbangs and I don't know, not smokes. He has flashbangs and something else. And it's Finka who was given smokes instead. Finka was played a bit earlier by Mirage. Kensen right now, a tanker re-peeking onto the operator. Geo actually keeping the tradition from TSM also here in SONIQS, because Geo would always hover like Glass or Blitz and then swap to something else. Unless, actually, that might be achieved. Am I getting my people mixed up, Parker? Can you help? Do you know better than I do?
Say it again.
So one member from TSM always hovers Glass or Blitz. I think it's achieved, but I also thought it was Geo. Either way, Geo's on Ace. They've changed things up. O's being brought out. Muncie was hovered early on as well. No direction here on the take. SSG playing it quite aggressive here. Capkin, Lesion, and Alibi all going to be volatile operators. Look at these impact grenades. 2, 4, 6, 8 impact grenades on the defensive side. 2 being spent on rotate, 6 being kept in pocket. Whatever might come.
Capkin getting brought out as well. We heard a suppressor on attack. I think that might have been Gunner running the suppressor. I'm not entirely certain. See, here's the problem with suppressors.
Yeah,
they make every single gun sound so different. For 5 damn years, I have casted this game, and suppressors have been nothing but a troll pick most of the time. And I have familiarized myself with the sounds of pretty much every single gun, and now I need to relearn them all with suppressors. There are a couple that have a very distinctive sound. The Spear, Ying's LMG, they all sound very unique with suppressors. But some of the others tend to sound very similar, so you just gotta train your ears a little bit.
IQ's command on Thermax 556 sound almost identical. That was an issue I struggled with as a player, actually, a couple times. There are the impacts.
Bucks C8 sounds like something else as well. Rampy gets the very first pick. Gunner goes down. That's one of the 2 new players from SONIQS. Geo and Gunner, both G names to join Grixer, too. I don't know why you have 3 players that all start with G, but okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Slow round. As SONIQS have lost a member, they're now slowing down the pace here. It's Ossa off the board. Those shields are no longer in play. And there we see Bosco with a nice crouch peek onto Rexon. We're going to have 5v3 in this kitchen defense.
That's a unique sounding one as well. The Storm with the suppressor on it. SONIQS often live and die off of their top fragging players of Grixer, Kansan, and Rexon. It's usually Yeti and Super who would be on the bottom of the score sheet. How can Geo and Gunner add to that? Through round number 1, we're only going to get to see the impact that Geo can have, trapped inside a kitchen right now with his old teammate of Bosco not too far off. Storm will continue to fire away. Diffuser getting planted by Geo, and Adrenal Surge goes out. Bosco will have to take the engagement on his own. Geo, hello?
No cover?
Nobody's watching whatsoever. So the SONIQS forfeit that Diffuser. Grixer goes down too, and suddenly SSG, who've only suffered a tiny bit of damage to Hot and Cold, are in a 5v1. 30 seconds to go. Kansan, can you find any kills? Will they be impactful? That's the question. No, they won't be. Not even a single kill found. A flawless round from Space Station to start off this match, and that's a statement.
I was thinking that Geo had some like big brain play, like some sort of like good cover to bait in Bosco or something, but there just wasn't any cover being had, and he stuck it all the way down to the last 2 seconds or so on that plant timer. He got taken out. It's a flawless for Space Station, looking good in his first opening round, of course. Playing defense, in my opinion, is always a little bit easier to start off with, as you can just kind of set up your, your map, your reinforcements, your utility, and then just see what the enemy is doing and then react upon it. It's always easier to be the one setting up problems.
Have an experienced voice, a strong IGL that can command the team, keep them focused, keep them in the game, and guide them forward. Now, it's funny because Yeti used to be that voice on teams way long ago. The first Pro League match I ever casted, all the way back on, what was it, September 25th, 2017.
Oh, God.
Yeti was one of the main voices for World's Best Gaming, and then would go on to also have a very large voice in Disrupt when he was on that team. And then, if I remember correctly, Noble as well, which he was on in Pro Play. He was one of the main voices, if not the main voice, for that team. He's been around for ages, and he does bring that calming presence to a certain extent. Now, when he was on the SONIQS, you had one of the best IGLs in all of Pro Play and Super, moving the team forward. And while Super's come out recently and said that with the way that attacker repick works, having a dedicated default IGL is not as important as it used to be, there are still teams that use that system that do think it's quite important.
Yeah.
For Space Station, it could have been the missing link that now allows them to elevate, but of course that's just a spitballing. We've only seen a single round of play.
No, true, but I do think it's important to talk about because every single team needs different things than others, and if that's what SSG needs, it's what they got, it's what they're going to be able to work with. On this round at SONIQS, a very, very clear attack. The Monty and the offside is indicating a plant inside the B bomb side right here in that rotate. That's going to be inside a karaoke. They're going to try and take the black stairs and the balcony as well. That's going to allow them to just walk on in and try and get that diffuser down. But first, they got to clear this shield, get the staircase control. That's going to be the first minute of the round. Toxic Babes goes out. It's going to be stalling it out. But Bosco actually preemptively using 2 of those canisters, while Foltz as well as Yeti might go for an aggressive player in the window.
Very little damage done to the Montaigne, but has bought time for Space Station to relocate 2 of their players as well. You saw both Foltz and Yeti getting in closer to the bomb site, and that's the very final toxic canister that goes out here.
It's very early.
Very, very early. Still 2 minutes left, just a little bit south of 2 minutes left. Bosco is just a gun at this point. He put down his shield already, playing behind it, and SONIQS know he's there. They'll have to try to bait him from down below. Can Kansan capitalize? No. Gunner gets baited in, and he's the first to die now 2 rounds in a row.
Yeah, the issue here is there's no self-destruction for the shield now. Post team kills Yeti. Kansan finds one apiece.
That is very, very bad. SONIQS have just suddenly taken over this round. They lost Gunner, and just a bit of sloppy effort. The grenade from Kansan finds its mark on the Rampy, and now it's hot and cold in a 1v4, lurking down below as Mira, a 3-armor operator with a gun that will run out of bullets very quickly. There's one inside a restaurant through the table. Beautiful shot from Hot and Cold. Grixer is down, but Houghton, I don't know what he was thinking here. By the way, Geo has the diffuser, and they have not planted it yet. There we go. A little bit of area opened up by Houghton, making noise down below. Geo decides to forfeit the diffuser, goes for it again. Nitro cell ripped by Houghton. Geo gets off of the plant. There it goes again, but Houghton gets stunned by one of those concussions from Rexen. Looking for the default spot that they think Geo might be in, but they're looking in the wrong area. Hot and Cold will now have to deal with the 40 seconds left, but he can't even get up to the top of the stairs because Rexen makes him pay, and the SONIQS answer back.
We didn't see exactly what happened, but that seemed to be a very chaotic round, right? The team kill, the Bosco one-tap, no grenades from SONIQS on the balcony, which means that shield that Bosco was on couldn't quite get cleared. And yeah, something must have gone very, very wrong for that to happen, but it is what it is. It's 1 round apiece as SONIQS comes out victorious. That Monty attack that we just saw is like the cookie cutter standard way to attack that bomb site for many, many teams. Yet it seems like there aren't that many answers for it right now. I mean, Bosco tossed out all 3 Toxic Babes in the first 45 seconds of that door being opened up. That's going to mean that once the Monty walks in, it's just free takings. Even though the shield was still alive, things just fell apart. So now, SSG, they need to assume that there's a chance SONIQS might do it again, have a counter for it, otherwise they can lose the exact same way twice. SONIQS, however, same story. You should never attack the same way twice because then your enemy can get ready for it. So it looks like they're going to be changing things up here. Gurks are going to be picking up the Twitch, and Geo going from Blackbeard to Ace again with these shenanigans. Always hovering in a low pick rate operator and change to something else once these all 4 teammates they get what they want. That way there's no double picking on those specific operators.
Don't demean it to shenanigans.
Shenanigans, some tomfoolery, if you will. Goyo is an answer, I suppose.
I like tomfoolery. Chicanery is another good one. A word that is quite relevant right now, given what happened at the Emmys last night, or 2 nights ago, where Better Call Saul has now been nominated something like 46 times for an Emmy and has not won a single one.
Oh.
It's nonsense.
Oh.
Absolute nonsense. Either way. For those TV snobs out there that realize, by the way, that award shows are utterly meaningless.
They are.
It doesn't matter if it's the Grammys, Oscars, etc. It's all just a dog and pony show. That's it. Anywho, that's just a rant for another day.
Sure.
You know?
Double summer charge opens up the geisha wall. Force is trying to stick around and get at least 1 drone or for his trouble. But the SONIQS, they have rotated around to the first floor area now. The restaurant kitchen. Try and take more control. Probably rappel up later on to take advantage of the breach, but not for now.
It really is a trip seeing suppressors be used as often as they are. My brain hasn't really adjusted to it just yet, Nick. I keep thinking, just going back to the old times of them being a funny ha-ha,
Yeah.
why are we running this? Either way, Yeti's been downed, he's
Not sure
retrievable.
how he's been down. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know where he was that he got shot. He might have got shot through garden window, but I don't know if that's the case. Either way, grenade goes out. Kansan will continue to walk up the stairs, back stairs, but there's one of those Goyo canisters that have been blown open. Having some difficulties to get the Gemini out and gain more information for his team. Just a little bit over a minute to go. Nobody has perished, and Yeti has been retrieved from the dead.
That he has. No C4 in pocket. That's only Hot and Cold, who's not downstairs right now because this is where Kansan and SONIQS are instead. Minute to go, 2 Toxic Babes and Bosco can slow down the attack even further, but SONIQS, they've gotten almost all the positions they would like to have. Side rappel, backstairs, droning up the red stairs right now. They can start making their approach in just a second here. Grixer has 2 smoke grenades. It's gotta be utilized to cut the lines of sight to enable Geo in towards the bomb site.
All right, well, there goes Fultz. Gunner taken down. Gunner has not been successful in his roles at all. He's been the first to die for SONIQS every single round, despite the fact that SONIQS drew first blood onto Fultz early on. No mistakes for Space Station so far, no team kills. Geo credited with that Goyle shield blowing up and killing Bosco. That was a bit of the defender's utility used against them. And after he's done that, he seeks some safe place inside of the bomb site, but Rampy sees him. An easy push from over by Geisha. Space Station have now got the diffuser down, so SONIQS will need to retrieve it. Kansan is in doing Kansan things. Missed opportunity onto the Mira. Now it's Rexon to take some serious damage. Kansan dealt with quite admirably by Hot and Cold. Diffuser being planted by Grixer, and it's Hot and Rampy in a 2v2, but Hot stops it in its tracks. It's Hot and Cold, but it was Hot that round. Hops onto the diffuser, and an easy disable is had for the Space Station to go up 2-1.
Huge round there from Rambi and Hot and Cold, playing their position so patiently. Rambi was tucked inside the Geisha hallway, and well, SONIQS did not know, so he could swing out right here and get the kill onto Geo, the only member who was in a position from SSG to do so. Hot and Cold didn't see the second person there on the plant that was because they were stacked on top of one another. SSG to come out victorious 2-1 as round 4 is underway, and they're hovering Barbecue Kitchen, which is where this game started off with that flawless victory for the defending team of Space Station. We see the SONIQS have a better way to attack at this time, because last time they seemed a little bit lost, didn't quite have a solid direction. It was Gunner who got picked off early, 2 rounds now out of 3.
All right. Back downstairs to Barbecue and Kitchen. The same 2 bomb sites trotted out time and time again. When, oh when, are we going to see a bomb site on the east side of this map? That is the real question.
Well, if we win this round, sorry, if SSG, that's not we, if SSG wins this round, we have to. So that would be win. Quite literally.
Have you ever heard of a rhetorical question?
No.
All right, well, it's a good time for you to learn. Feel free to educate yourself. I'm sure that your tablet
Oh, I
right
have to educate myself?
Yeah, I'm not doing the legwork for you.
Damn. I thought we were duos. The duo. A duo.
I'm not to tell you that I said it rhetorically because A, I already knew that based on the way that the bomb site cycle is going, but also more to underscore the fact that every single bomb site we've seen so far has been on the west side of the map. Either way, it feels like the joke is now ruined.
I'm sorry.
So
That's my bad.
that's
I ruin things.
that Venture Cell that gets tossed out as a small opening is already created in the hard destruction, leading into the top of lobby. Venture Cell worked out quite effectively. Space Station seemingly moving their chips and their pieces closer to where that main point of contact might come from. Maybe they want to stop the SONIQS before they can get into the building.
Seems to be the case. Hot and Cold again, as always. 1 floor below his opponents. No C4 in pocket this time. He's on the Lesion. He's no longer on the Mira. Still using suppressors. SSG might be the team using the most of all so far that we've seen. As it really is a personal preference whether you want the suppressor or not. You do get a bit more recoil, but you don't have any indicator where you get shot from. There's less sound, etc. There are a ton of upsides now as they got buffed in this most recent patch. So 50-50 on that, if you will. Some guns have too much with it, some guns are fine. Kansan making his way through the building right now, trying to get some more control. Hot and Cold being patient as ever, waiting for the perfect flank opportunity, which has not yet presented itself.
Well, lots of patience between these two teams. Not anywhere near as aggressive on defense as we've seen from some of the squads that were playing earlier on. Instead, Space Station showing off that hallmark patience that they've done many, many times before. A run out from Bosco is stopped by a Claymore. This is a similar position to where he was in previously when Gio walked in, tried to plant, but Bosco was able to walk in for free. Space Station have not given up their clutches on that top floor one bit, so they still hold on to a good amount of map control. And they greet the SONIQS in two ways, both with headshots, as Grixer and Gio are down for the count. Again, G players being the first to die, but it means that Gunnar is still able to make an impact, searching for his very first kill on the SONIQS. Hasn't been able to be found just yet. I guess that's part of the problem when you're a main point of entry, Nick.
Oh, it is. On 20 seconds left, we gotta go fast on this because we got no real way in, no real breach. Yellow, red, pink comes out. Good kill from Rexon. They gotta need more.
Have to start to accumulate them. Gunnar now taking damage. Rexton too, but Gunnar fires back his first kill as a Sonic. Kansan down, and Gunnar will have to vault out, retrieve that diffuser with the time ticking away. It's him in a 1v2. A precarious position for Gunnar to be in. Can he find a single kill? No. Hot and Cold has been the savior of Space Station round after round after round, and it's SSG on top of the SONIQS 3-1 at this point.
It's a familiar storyline because Hot and Cold in the NAL usually performs extremely well. But the question mark usually comes when Space Station makes top 4, they go to international tournaments. That's where Hot and Cold kind of cools off a little bit too much and where that aggression kind of stops. At the very least, gets punished by the opponents. But so far in these first 4 rounds, he's been looking mighty fine. 7-1. On the board, and let's say he hadn't gotten a single kill. Rambi 2-2, Foltz 1-3, Bosco 1-2, Yeti 1-3. No one is really gonna be picking up the slack right now if Hot and Cold wasn't. However, right now that's fine because he is putting up those numbers. SONIQS, of course, got a bit of a slow start, been the early death 3 out of 4 rounds so far, and Gio following shortly after as well a couple of times. We are now on the east-hand side. We are upstairs in the exhibition office area, if you will call it that. We're going to see if they can come out victorious or not. Mira being brought to the table. Yeti on the Warden as well, in case those smoke grenades they come out into play.
Whoa, we're on the east side of the building.
Whoa.
Right,
It's almost like they won the last round.
all right, knock it off, smart guy. We get it.
Mirroring though on the interior of the wall to see outside on the soft wall leading to the balcony. And a second mirror overwatching garden or terrace, whichever way you want to call it. This enables SSG to play one room further out in the bomb site itself, and a bit more spacey. With Bandit being banned, this is what I'm talking about. You cannot Bandit trick these walls, so you cannot just go below and nade them like the last patch, last season. Because you only have one set of grenades on Kansan. Those 2 grenades are so valuable, you'd rather get EMPs and ban the Bandit to enable this. Of course, it was SSG who banned the Bandit, but it works for both teams.
I mean, to be fair, it was Space Station who banned the Bandit, though. They didn't want to deal with the Bandit, so they don't need to worry about Bandit tricking because when you ban an operator, you expect to not use it.
Yes?
Yes. Just in case you were, just in case you weren't aware. But the viewers at home, more than anything, just in case they needed to know. Really incredible stats from Hot and Cold right now, sitting at 7-1, and these have all been impactful kills as far as my memory works.
Okay.
Nestled over by the wall into office that's been opened up. Safely playing by the mirror window. SSG will just wait out the drones now as they go in. In terms of drones that are available, there's only 4 for SONIQS. They are running out of one of the best gadgets that you have access to in the game, and you have to figure that it's the mute jammers that are causing a bit of a pain for SONIQS.
Gunnar and Hot and Cold staring down each other's ankle right there. No one gets the kill, no one gets any damage done. Kansan used the 1 nade down below, 1 more left to go. After that, there's no more explosive damage on the board for the attack and lineup. And that's going to be a difficult task because you got to clear out Hot and Cold's position one way or another. He gets very aggressive, could lose the gunfight, but so far he stays alive.
Was that a nade that gets tossed on in? Hot and Cold still playing off of this angle, losing his vantage point from the mirror window. Down goes one drone. Very good kill by Rexon to walk in. Bosco falls too. Rexon has so much control and is doing so much damage inside of Office. Continuing to light them up. He knows there's one over as well by Garden, but he takes some damage in the process. Diffuser goes down. Rexon has 3 kills to his name, and he's still upright. Kansan and Grixer gets in on the fun, and it's flawlessly done by SONIQS as they pick up their second round. Wow.
A flawless, a plant, an open and kill, a huge triple entry as well from Rexon, and that right there just single-handedly got them the round. And again, if you shut down Hot and Cold, you might just find a victory here because he's doing all the work right now for Space Station.
He absolutely is. And he's been playing those less sexy roles as well. I think most of these rounds he's actually played Mira, which is not known to be a fragging operator, but very similar to what we see at a Smoke. Sometimes we've seen it with Kaids as well, is that when you are in that anchor role, which Mira almost always inhabits, just as we see the same for Smoke, just as we see from Maestro, Echo, Kaid, etc., you are often put in positions where it is a clutch or kick, and you can make things happen because there are often times where attackers don't have the level of coordination, either because they don't have enough drones, they don't have enough information, etc., to actually pull off the final 5, 10, 20 seconds of a round. And when you're Mira and you know where the default plants are going to be and you've got certain openings that have been created relatively recently, then it's a pretty good guess as to where they're going to be coming from. Somebody like Hot and Cold has surely been around long enough. The amount of hours that he has likely logged on this map, there's only so many ways that you can get into a bomb site, and he really does thrive in those high-pressure situations.
To add to your point, I think playing an operator like Mirror that is like, you know, a set and forget operator, slap down your mirror windows, whatever, you're now free to roam the map and make your own decision. Like, you can anchor if you want to, you can take a risk if you want to, right? You can go for a really aggressive play, which Hot and Cold likes to do, so giving him more freedom is likely the right scenario, as we've seen time and time again. We spoke about counterplays. Geo and the side of SONIQS want to do the same attack as the first time around, and of course, SSG, they need a counter for it, because last time it was way too easy for SONIQS to just walk on in, get that plant down. Second time it worked out. Third time, let's see who comes out on top. Bosco on the shield, same position. Geo on the door, same position. Let's see if Bosco can hold on. Let's see if a team kill comes out, if the story's going to change.
Yeah, that absolutely was the focus for Space Station. McKanson's already making quite a bit of noise at the bottom of those back stairs. Toxic Canister goes out. It does the same amount of damage to Geo that it had done before, and now Bosco has double duty. If Kansan can distract the smoke, then there can be some serious work done to push him off of that spot. Kansan with Suppressor on. Bosco must certainly hear something, and again, damage is done to Geo. This time a little bit more with those Toxic Canisters. Bosco still has 1 remaining in pocket. Goes out way too early on, but it frees him from that position. Yep. Now he can tackle Kansan head on. It's the other way around. Kansan was prepared. His ascent up those back stairs met with a goo mine, and it slows his advance but for a second. Space Station didn't seem to have the time to get back towards the bomb site. Gunner putting his weaponry to good use as we already see those Talon shields down. So SONIQS have gotten 2 opening picks and can steamroll their way into the bomb site if SSG are incapable of stopping the Monty. Another kill from Kansan, this time on to Fultz. That's Rampy and Hot and Cold in very desperate times.
That's what I mean. What is SSG going to do? The counterplay isn't there. No one helps out Bosco. The moment he falls, the round is basically over now, as Grixer's flying at Hot and Cold on this red staircase, leaving Rampy in a 1 versus 5 flawless round for the side of SONIQS. Success reigns across the screen with that Monty attack. 2 for 2.
2 flawless rounds back-to-back, by the way, for the SONIQS as they managed to get the diffuser down in round number 5. This time, they relied far more on firepower than they did on case control. First half in the books, and it's the same score line, really, that we started off on, all tied up. No team particularly close to putting this match away. SSG had a much better start to this first half than they did the second half. In the very first half, they won round number 1 flawlessly, getting the opening pick, denying the SONIQS inward to the bomb site. SSG had some stumbles in that second round on that karaoke defense. The bomb site would be played 3 separate times by Space Station, and they won it their second time back in round number 3. Despite that, the SONIQS were able to get the diffuser planted 3 of the 6 rounds and got first blood on 4 of those 6 rounds, while doing so en route to 2 flawless rounds in rounds 5 and 6. No timeouts have been taken, though there was a tech pause / rehost, which threw off some of the stats from round number 1. But again, you're not allowed to talk to your coach during those tech pauses. So maybe the team could chart some things out for the future, but no coaching eyes were helpful whatsoever.
Well, you're correct. SSG not opting for the Monty offside attack. They're going to be doing an over clear most likely instead, bringing soft destruction in the buck. Of course, 4 Claymores, because Skyscraper is one of the few maps where having 4 Claymores doesn't seem crazy. There are so many window jump outs, drone holes you can utilize, and flanks you can cover, where having more than 2 Claymores kind of makes sense, but they are going to be very low on other piece of utility. There's no grenades on this lineup. Fultz on Sophia has 2 soft destruction charges with the gadget of a lifeline. That is all you have to work with. No nade kills will happen. They cannot be found. Nuke not really having a presence on Skyscraper yet. Then again, this map is not super Nuke favored, but of course it can be brought out if you want to creep around the map solo bolo like. Fultz looking for this opening kill, might get the gunfight, does get a bit of damage on the gunner, but he stays alive. It's going to be an aggressive injury, but a jump back out the window because we changed our minds. Alibi Praise spot comes out, impact follows true. That's going to be an easy kill, but for the wrong person. It's Rambo gets gunner instead. He's off the board once more.
Well, it seems like it might just be the attackers doing better on these opening picks, but we'll have to have a couple more rounds for Space Station before we can actually make that assessment. Gunner really is playing aggressive minutes for the SONIQS and has not been particularly successful in that role, being first to die through 4 rounds for the SONIQS in this matchup. Hot and Cold, meanwhile, has perished. Thatcher has remained unbanned for the entire day of the North American League, but with those secondary pocket EMPs, we haven't seen the old man himself all that much. It also means that the hottest hand for SSG is no longer available. If you look at the right side of your screen, there's quite a steep drop-off from Hot and Cold to the next highest fragging player on the team. That's Rampy, who started the round with 2 kills, and the rest of SSG all with 1 apiece. Still, there's a hard breach to spare for both Bosco and Yeti. You just need to make sure that there's no gadgetry stopping you from getting those Selmas or thermite charges down.
There is a second deployable shield on the board here, possibly for the side of SONIQS, which means the only one that can clear that, once again, is Fultz, who has 1 soft breach left. And he's gone from the world because Rexon found his head. That now means that any shield will stay alive.
Oh my goodness. Look at Grixer's HP, by the way.
It's very low.
We talked about playing aggressive minutes for Gunner. Grixer's going to have to play the safest minutes for the remainder of this match. It's only 30 seconds into this round. A stray bullet from even a skeleton key will be enough to take out the Valkyrie. SSG trail in numbers. Space Station looking to get back into the lead as they'd forfeited early on. Diffuser going down, but it's Grixer to stop, and a Nitro Cell goes out as well. The man has a single point of HP, and he's still putting that weaponry to work. And he finds 2 kills as a shadow of himself. SONIQS do something they haven't done all game, and that's snag the lead.
Yeah, they did indeed snag the lead. 4-3 now. There's a finding comfortability on the defensive side. It was a good start for Space Station on the attack, but it got shut down quite briefly after. Grixer was just getting way too much value on the Dragon area, finding 2 kills, fell back to bomb site and found 1 more. Barbecue Kitchen, second bomb site priority for the side of SONIQS as well. There's a reverse situation where Space Station started Kitchen into T. SONIQS, they go T down into Kitchen instead. Of course, Frost being brought out for those traps of window jump-ins. Capcan being brought for doorways. Rooney Laser gets being brought for anything, really. You can just choose window, door, or wall. Then we're seeing something that we haven't seen much of, Jaeger. Jaeger's pick rate, actually, has decreased quite significantly. And a few times we have seen Jaeger, most pros always talk ill of the weapon, saying it's a weak gun, has too much recoil, only got that 26 bullet count nowadays. Jaeger really has kind of fallen off, if you will. Ash had a similar story the last like 2 years, but with the recoil changes this season, seems to have been picked up a little bit in popularity, as the R4 is a bit more forgiving now than before. Yeti's opted for the Dokebi with the EMP grenades. So stacking both the Thatcher and another set of EMP grenades on the Dokebi as well is a lot of wall deny in this case, specifically because there's no bandit on the board that's banned off. There's no mute being played, nor a kite being played from the side of SONIQS. So you got a ton of EMPs, but not much to do with them really, value-wise. I suppose you could disable ADSs if you wanted to.
Well, We're back to kitchen. No extension out of kitchen, it seems like. Right now, this map control from above. 4 players from the defense of SONIQS are currently over top of this kitchen and barbecue bomb site. Bullets being dumped into the deployable shield with Jaeger right just sitting, waiting patiently. Geo almost ready for them to come on in. Neither of the 2 newest additions from SONIQS, for the SONIQS, have done much on the score sheet. Same with Yeti on Space Station. And I mean, that stands to reason. These are not necessarily on fragging roles. When Super and Yeti got moved off of the team, Super played largely hard support on most of the maps. Yeti played flex support as well. You'd often see Yeti playing that Maverick role, for example, who SSG actually banned out, obviously. Not to counter Yeti, as he's now on their team, but to counter what Maverick can do to this map. And he is a very powerful operator because of so many of those walls that are played off-site with a Mute Jammer, a Kaid Claw, or those Bandit batteries. So ultimately, the ban made sense. But either way, you're not looking for them to do a lot of killing, like Asian did, by the way, and like some of the other newer additions have. First kill goes to Grixer, down goes Bosco, the Nitro Cell connects. Bosco having a relatively dreadful game stats-wise, and a Frost Mat will also net hot and cold. Grixer takes out Rampy, that's his 2nd kill. Geo is answered back by Fultz getting that pick. SONIQS with a lead. It's a 4v2 unless somebody from SSG can hop in and retrieve Houghton. If not, he will continue to bleed out in that bear trap.
Yeah, Kevin Trap also went off earlier on, so a ton of trap damage being dealt. And Gunnar does finish off Hot and Cold in that bear trap, which means it's a 2v4 with both members of SSG so low on HP. It's going to be hard to fight back against full health SONIQS.
Yeti taken out by Grixer. 3rd kill for him. This old cast of SONIQS, the 3 longest standing members, are putting in work. Grixer broke double digits, I believe. We'll have to take a look as we come back, but at one point, Grixer, 8 kills. Kansan, 8 kills. Rexin, 8 kills. That is a dominating performance for the 3 players who you expect on SONIQS to be getting these kills. The biggest question mark for the SONIQS. It sure seems like leadership wasn't necessarily their biggest struggle because you're getting an awful lot out of these fraggers. And no, I was wrong. They didn't break double digits, but Grixer and Kansan are all at 9 kills apiece combined for 27 kills in 8 rounds.
It's impressive. It really is. And, I mean, you can almost argue that we're back where they were before because Gunnar is in 2 and 4, Geo's in 1 and 4, which that's like the old super stat line, right? Where you get 1 or 2 kills and you vibe. But when Rexin, Grixer, and Kansan, the trio are doing this, it really doesn't matter what is happening right now. So imagine Gunnar had a bit of a better game. Imagine, well, honestly, I want to take a step back here. Geo might be 1 and 4 statistically. He's done such a good job on both the Hard Breach and the Muncie when they're on the attacking side. If anything, it's just Gunnar falling a bit behind, dying early. But Gunnar's also doing the injury job. He's just not finding the success there so far, but his teammates, they are off that, so not the end of the world. If anything, I'm more concerned for Space Station. They're in a similar boat where, again, Hot and Cold on 7 kills. He's been on 7 for a while. He's been slowed down. Rambi on 4, then we jump to 2, 1, and 1. It was a steep decline.
I certainly don't want anybody taking from what I said that Super's not good or Geo's not good, Gunnar's not good, Yeti's not good, etc. That absolutely wasn't the point I was making. The point is that once you enable the entry players, or if you're on defense, the roamers and the players that are going to be playing those more aggressive spots, as long as you can get the most out of them, it's really going to help your team. And it certainly seems like the SONIQS have not had that fall off.
I agree with you. And I think a lot of people, they were curious about, will SONIQS be as strategically advanced as they were before? I will say from their attacks on Skyscraper, they look quite confident in what they're doing in the server. So kudos to them for doing a great job, even without Super in that department.
He is the general manager as far as I'm aware, so he still has some insight on them day to day. And he also, like I believe Skies and Laxing, is currently co-streaming. So he can give insight into the game. And this team in particular, it was a failure of that first Electroclaw. It fails a second time as well. Geo just about half a second off of being able to stop both of those thermite charges. And again, timing the EMPs of Hot and Cold that have so successfully opened up 2 different parts of this bomb site.
They have. That's again like the Bandit ban from SSG really coming to play now because, you know, the timing with Kite is a bit more forgiving as it has a longer charge up time. Rexon down below, and his gunner is up above. We're holding on right now. We're not giving up the ground for free. We're waiting for a drone, waiting for an engagement, because we need to hold on as long as possible. Gunner, with this Wamai, can actually play quite comfortably inside the Dragon area, because with those discharging up over time, nothing's really going to stop you right now from being here, especially because there's no frag grenades on the attacking lineup again.
Fultz will inch ever closer. It's been a very quiet game from him on these entry rolls on attack. He simply needs to pick it up to help the rest of his team and maybe rely off the rest of the team to help him guide forward. Yeti, a kill on to Gunner. That's Yeti's second kill, and it's a swing from Rexon capitalizing. When you're playing like Rexon is right now, you can take those chances, but Hot and Cold makes him pay for it. A vault into the window might be had, but keep in mind there are those bear mats still in play. And SSG haven't exactly had the best success of looking down. Kansan trapped onto the stairs. They'll dispatch two separate players to take care of him. It's Yeti to capitalize. Geo, meanwhile, gets one of his own, but it's Houghton to stop him. Grixer will now need to clutch in a 1v2. He sees the gun barrel of the Zofia, waiting for her to come on through. Stops him and extracts! But Yeti is there to get revenge against his own team. It stops the SONIQS from going to match point, and there's some life in Space Station yet.
I want to say they played the 1v2 quite beautifully because they peaked at the exact same time, so the flick was almost impossible. The time between each shell in the shotgun does not really allow for that big, or that quick rather, of a kill, and therefore they secure it. If they had been half a second slower with the peaks, Grixer right there, he seals the deal with the shotgun, but because the timing was so tight and so well timed, it works out for all the attackers. It's a huge round. As now SSG can still make a mistake, they can still lose one more round and force it out into OT worst case. So they buy themselves a bit of breathing room here. Speaking of Ash, Force is showing it. And speaking of the tweeter vote,
Who's winning? Who do you think?
I think Super.
I think it's Space Station.
Oh, it's probably actually you're probably right about that. Because
I don't know. Super's an impression magnet.
Oh,
that was close. You were right. You were right.
I was right,
wrong.
but I bailed out. I changed my vote, so like I was only half right.
I mean, you were right at the start.
I was right at the start.
At least you were more right than I was. I wasn't right at all.
I suppose.
Either way.
I really liked Jesse's comment about the evil genius on the desk. I thought that was rather hilarious as the person who was stopping them from finding that success. Poor Troy.
Oh boy.
We spoke about the good old days in Rome when we were there together. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm glad you had fun in Rome.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
I mean, it makes sense that you finally got to go to Italy because you sure didn't qualify for Milan.
Okay. Another event where EG got slapped around. That's the infamous round.
Why are you coming at me? Like,
I'm sorry.
I don't care.
Know. I know. You're fighting Troy's side, so I'm fighting my side.
I'm not fighting Troy's side. I was cheering for Empire. I wanted the call. I wanted the call for Empire to win. I got it. That's all I wanted. Anyway. Yes, the infamous White Stairs call. Could you imagine if on the rework of Oregon they'd taken White Stairs out? I think there would have been. I would have lost. I would have protested.
Oh my! My heart.
Holtz almost hops into a bear mat, but instead, as they move towards Samurai, he manages to keep himself intact. Mind you, all it would have cost him was a good portion of his life because there was no follow-up from SONIQS, and there were two players from SSG nearby. IQ is an operator who've actually seen a fair amount of play today. And that, once again, goes to the fact that you now have a couple free slots. You don't need a Finka every single round. You don't need a Lion every round, even though his pick rate has surged. Dokkaebi has been brought back into the meta. Osa, of all the operators, has been quite prevalent as well, in large part, I think, because of those secondary EMPs.
Yeah.
That can replace a Thatcher, should Thatcher be banned, but then yet again, there has been no Thatcher bans. Nook has been banned every game except for one. That was today's match, where it's Ying and Maverick that will not be in play. Ying herself also brings a ton of utility. Fultz, come on! How does that happen? Looking the wrong way, a little bit too fixated on the defender playing inside of the bomb site. And there's Gunner on a flank to take one down and heads for the hills. All the while, Geo falls to Rampy.
What a mess. What an unfortunate turn of events here. SSG is still holding on. Yeti on that window hill to side can cut the bomb set in half somewhat, but the rest of SSG needs to push up one way or another. Hot and Cold being gone, that means the Osa shield cannot be moved. EMPs cannot be spent. Gotta frag their way in.
It's Rampy taking charge now as SSG starts to mount up these kills. Grixer has a cross in a similar spot. There wasn't much left of Fultz. His HP had been removed in the bear mat. Now it's Grixer's time to flank around. Rampy taking damage, another for Grixer. He's the secret weapon, yet he's coverage not good enough. He's still on the wire. He'll have to swing on in, and as he does so, he only has 5 seconds to get the diffuser planted. The last 2 players from SONIQS just need to wait him out, and they will do so. SONIQS move to match point.
Getting close, they can feel it, and look at that, we got the hand claps, we got the shouts, we're feeling good over here right now. What started with smiles across space station's face have turned now, as things are looking a bit dire. Of course, Space Station can still force OT, go 6-6, and see if they can take it when it matters the most, when it's the closest it can get. Or at the very least, steal 1 point off SONIQS by not giving them a regulation win, because every single point can matter at the end of the stage, and what, in 8 play days from now. We'll see what they can do. Kitchen, bomb site, could potentially be our final defense. We're going to see the Capcan being brought out again, and the Frost is doing so much work this game so far. That's the 3rd Frost mat, essentially, that's been hit their mark so far.
Our European coworkers call them pog mats.
Yeah, pog mats.
Pog mats, as they call them, because it does elicit a pog from the audience whenever an attacker happens to not watch their feet.
There's Fultz both times last time as well. He jumped in the window in the very beginning, almost got his feet chomped off, and then again he backed up into the frost trap later on. And I feel bad for him because...
What are the odds?
Like, his teammate droned the window the first time. Clearly they forgot to tell him, or they just didn't see it. And then the second time they also put down the shield. It was hot and cold, and he didn't see the frost trap right behind the shield either. So it was like Fultz, it wasn't really his fault, so to speak, but he was just like the victim, if anything, twice.
Or he was just so fixated on what was happening in front of him that it didn't even occur to him that he was in such close proximity
It's true.
to that dragon window. Either way, that's that round in the books. 2 minutes and 30 seconds away from the SONIQS putting Space Station out of their misery. SSG, I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes with the team. Yeti has picked up the pace. Bosco is now at the very bottom of the score sheet. Again, on oftentimes very unforgiving roles, those unsexy roles as we refer to them as.
Someone's got to do it.
Absolutely. As the pitter-patter sound of the commando with the suppressor on. Rampy heading in first. He had backup. Rex in a one-man stand inside of Drum. This is a kitchen defense down below, that kitchen barbecue site.
Yep. So far been a pretty stable one for the defender, is finding success time and time again besides a single round, so 2 for 1 currently. And this right here, where SSG find themselves, is the hardest part of the map. You gotta get past Drum Dragon in towards this geisha area, and that's where the second line of defense now lies for SONIQS. They got the shields, the ADSs, the crossfires, the softballs being opened up, and SSG somehow have to now problem solve this entire situation because that's right above the bomb site. If you don't clear this, they got the vertical ground, you can't plant.
SONIQS' entire bomb site setup is designed to funnel Space Station into an area where the long lines of sight can really pay off. But those lines of sight work both ways, and as you can see, as Geo takes a bunch of damage, that Space Station are very aware of this. It's a standoff with Geo watching Yeti on rappel. He doesn't know exactly who it is. Another E1D will be burned to keep SONIQS in place. Grixer taking some damage. I'm not exactly sure what the culprit was. Could have been Rampy, who himself has taken quite a number of lumps. Just below the 1 minute mark, and surprisingly, everybody's still alive in this matchup.
Yeah, time is ticking down to 45 seconds, and of course, SONIQS, they can just happily wait around because SSG, somehow they're planting? What?
Nobody is watching. The whole focus has been on above, and Bosco gets away with murder on that one. And now Space Station can catch SONIQS as they try to get back to the bomb site. Geo, the first one down from SONIQS. Gunner takes out Yeti. Bosco has a nice angle in pantry here, waiting for someone to push it. No! What? He looks the wrong way at the last second, and Grixer gets one for free. Gunner and him are now inside of the bomb site. All it needs is for one of them to hop onto that diffuser. Houghton takes out Kansan. They'll need to clutch out. Gunner working with Grixer. He's on it. Fultz knows. Fultz hears it, searching for him from above. Now it's all on the shoulders of Gunner to shut this down, but he's working with a 4-second window. Can he do it? No, he can't. Past the point of no return. All it would be is stat padding, but Rampy stops him from getting yet another. Space Station still very much in this. We need all 12 rounds, and overtime could be quite quite likely.
That it could. I mean, SSG found the perfect opening. A small gap in the defensive side from SONIQS got, abused basically by Bosco, who got down the diffuser against all the odds. And then Bosco, again, the unsexy job. He drones, he breaches, plays smokes in defense, gets the bump down, and the moment, Parker, that he looks away, the same frame essentially, somebody swings him and he dies looking the wrong way. Like, that is the worst way to go out. And Bosco would have probably hated that entire thing so much more had they lost the round, but thankfully they won, so we can kind of scrub it off and be like, whatever that happened, we go again. And go again is exactly what we gotta do, because Kitchen is being forced back to back from SONIQS. They recognize that Space Station had no leg to stand on had it not been for a ninja plant. Had that not happened, they think they had that round in the books, and honestly, I agree with them, because it didn't look like they had the time or the positions to really force a top floor attack. So again, if Bosco doesn't find that plant position, I do think that round goes to SONIQS. So now it's up to Space Station to show us that what happened last round is not going to happen again. What have they changed? Well, Nuke is being brought out, so they have 4 grenades now. They're bringing the Dokebi as well. This could be to try and get Foles into the map, maybe try and get a kill somewhere, cause some disruption, some chaos, and force SONIQS off their fortified positions. As Nuke has not really been present so far. These Valkyrie cameras that are available, that Grixar is playing that operator, are not going to give you real information, because Nuke's gadget can't quite be seen by cameras.
All right.
First call goes out.
Very first call. We see this Dokebi Lion combination, and look at the Nook that's in play right now. Can it kickstart something for Fultz? That's the real question. Our first look at Nook in play. Banned out in all the EUL matches, banned out in every single NAL match as well up to this point.
He didn't time the gadget, so it ran out on the staircase. Default cam got checked, and now he's got spotted out. You gotta wait for it to recharge when you're near default camera to avoid that exact scenario. It happens.
Geo again, just ever so slightly mistiming the Electric Claw, causing some of that hard destruction to succeed, this time around in Bosco's hands. Instrumental in the previous round, and this is again where it comes in. Yeah, he's 1-9. That is not a great score line, but he walked the diffuser in and took advantage of a blind spot for the SONIQS. Gunner goes down again, the first to die for SONIQS. This is a worrying pattern given his position on the team. Rexon could have been the one to fall as well, but it's Fultz in the grave as Kansan fires back, and SONIQS have kept the numbers close as we hit the halfway point of what could be the final round.
Yep, Nuke is gone, so the nades, of course. Rampy has 1 left in his pocket, but 2 members of Space Station are low on HP, and add a 3rd to the tally. C4 comes out, gets shot midair. Good call from Rampy, wouldn't have killed him regardless. But Gio is now stuck between 2 ankles, recognizes that he can't quite challenge, he falls back instead and stays alive. Minute on the clock, and SSG has gotten way more map control this time than the last. Only Kansan remains above, he's hiding in the corner, they have no idea about his whereabouts. Could be a problem later on.
You can hear people taking damage, but I'm not exactly sure who's the one that's currently engaged right now. A very quiet mid-round that has occurred between these two teams. And just as I say that, Grixar swats away at Rampy. Space Station, only 3 players left. Almost everybody in the lobby has taken some damage, some worse than others. Grixar the only one at full HP. No ability on either side to bring them back should HP fall too low. Houghton has an idea, but he looks the wrong way. Geo inside, he gets a kill. Bosco doing the same thing he did before, but he doesn't have any coverage. He's down for the count, and Yeti, the former member of SONIQS, is the last one alive.